at Thar's Garage. In this video, I'll be working on the Team Associated B74.2 Bag 3, the differentials. So let's get started. So we're going to need the 15K fluid that's in the fluid bag and the grease. Everything is nicely packaged. Everything looks very high quality. These gears are metal, and then so are the internal gears. And compared to the B6.3 or the B6.4, the cross pins are also metal, so pretty excited about that. Alright, so the front and rear diffs are going to be identical. They're going to be built the same way. They're going to have the same gears, same fluid, and so on. So we can set aside for each. So first we're going to need our diff cup. We're going to need one of the diff O-rings. It's like one of these clearish white ones. We're going to need one of the out drives, and we're going to need a 5 by 8.5 by 0.2 shim. So although it says 5 by 8.5 by 0.2, this shim is measuring 8 millimeters in the outer diameter, and it's 0.2 thick. This is the one that we're going to need. It was individually packaged. It was packaged with 4 other ones, so pretty sure this is the one that we're going to need. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get some of this black grease, and we're going to take some of this grease and put it on the O-ring, and make sure you get a nice good coat on the O-ring, and then we're going to slip it on to the out drive. Put a little bit more grease on there. We have the O-ring on the out drive, and what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put the out drive into the diff cup, and the O-ring is going to sit inside right there. So there we go. Next we're going to install the 5 by 8.5 by 0.2 shim onto the out drive. So you might need some help with some tweezers to get that installed properly, but you can see there I just cut it on just like so. Next we're going to need the diff pin, which is going to be this piece here. And what we're going to do is we're going to line up the hole in the out drive. It's going to be hard to see in the video, but the hole in the out drive, I'm going to line up with one of these channels here. So that way, when I drop the pin in, I have enough room to maneuver the pin into that hole. So that's in. Now we can go ahead and install our sun gear. So take a look at the bottom of the sun gear. You'll see a channel for the pin. So make sure you line that up, and you can install it on, and you'll see that the gear itself sits almost flush with the outdrive. So next we're gonna get our planetary gears assembled. And so we're gonna take the cross pins and put the gears facing each other. Just like so. Do the same thing on the other one. And then we're gonna install the 2.55 by 6 by 0.15 shims behind each gear. Be careful when you pick up these shims because some of them might be stuck together. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna set the flats on the cross pins together. So you can see here that there's a flat on the cross pin. Both of them have it. So these are going to be facing each other. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this side of the differential ready. So we're going to need the outdrive, the diff ring gear, a 5 by 8.5 by 0.2 shim, which is actually not 8.5, and we're going to need one of the O-rings. So go ahead and grease up the O-ring. The O-ring is going to sit in that groove, so we can go ahead and install the outdrive into the gear. We're going to go ahead and install the shim. Then we're going to install the diff pin. We're going to install the diff pin through the hole in the outdrive, and then lastly the sun gear goes on top. And what I like to do here is maybe put a little bit of the diff oil on this pin, and so that way when I put the sun gear on, it usually stays on a little better. So there you go. So this one is basically ready to fill up, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside for now. I'm going to go ahead and put this together real quick, and then we'll get to filling it up and completing the differential. Okay, so in bag 3, step 3, it says to measure out the weight of the differential. So let's go ahead and see, everything's 0. So it basically says to weigh out everything, including the screws. And let's go ahead and install our planetary gears. So with the fluid, since I'm using the metal gears, the front and rear differential should be 45.25 grams. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up. So we're at 45.2, and then I put just a little bit after that. So I think we're set to where we want to be. I'm going to go ahead and kind of work the fluid in a little bit. And kind of don't like the way that they have the image saying that, you know, you fill to this line, fill to this level. Some people have said that when they fill up using the weight method, it isn't quite accurate, but I think this will work fine. It's not overly full. So basically what I did was I'm using my hex driver as a dipstick. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting it in vertically until I hit the top of the cross pin. And then I see how much fluid is on there. And so I'm eyeing the fluid to make sure that, you know, I'm above the cross pin, you know, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters. So I'm 1 millimeter above the cross pin. I'm close to the weight that it needs to be. So I'm gonna call that good. So now we can go ahead and put the differing gear and gasket on. So the gasket's in there already. And we just need to line up the holes. So these are the holes here. We need to line those up, and then we can install our screws. And it looks like the screws are going to be a 2 millimeter hex. And tighten these down evenly. You know, I'm just about to shoulder up, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten in a crisscross pattern. I'm not shouldered up yet. I'm just close to getting there. So I'm going to make sure that everything's down fairly evenly, and then I'm going to go back and tighten it down completely in a crisscross pattern. That way I apply even pressure on that seal and I don't cause any leaks. And you're going into plastic, so you don't need to crank down on it too hard. Once you feel it shouldered up, it's good. And now that everything's shouldered up, I'm going to go ahead and go back and check the tightness of everything, just in case you know, there needs to be a little bit more snug, which it did. So now this differential is ready. Feels nice and smooth. And go ahead and finish up with that one. So that concludes bag 3, the differentials. These are really, really smooth differentials for, I mean, for how much fluid is in there. They feel really good. I'm actually excited to see how they do in the turns. So the LTC gears, I mean, I guess they're not kidding. I don't feel a lot of drag in there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you did. If you found this helpful, please let me know down in the comments below if you had any issues or if you have any tips for any other builders building this kit. And stay tuned for the next video where I assemble bag 4. And that looks like it's going to be the gearboxes front and rear and the center drive shafts. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks.